Hey folks, how's it going? Bear NPC here, ready for streaming this Monday night. Hope everybody's doing well. Uh, I have been kind of hit or miss in my streaming, just rough times at work and whatnot. But I'm here because I got this beautiful book, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and I decided I was going to go over it and compare it to two older books that I particularly love. There is the Draconomicon. This is a third edition 3.5 book, somewhere in there. And also, because of very set things, the Monsters of Faerun book. That's kind of important, but I will get into that. But I figured I'd go through the book itself, talk about its pros and cons, things that I'm liking, things that I'm not, and go from there. If anybody has any questions in regards to the book itself, feel free to ask away. I know there are a lot of channels that have done a deep dive on items that are found in the book, but if there's anything in particular that you want to know before you go and buy this tomorrow, feel free, put a question up in the chat, and I will look through and see if I can find an answer for you. But let's jump right into the book, shall we? Pardon me. So, first and foremost, the cover itself is gorgeous. I love the shine to it. This is, of course, the special edition cover. I try to get all the special edition covers from one of the local game stores. One of the things I really like the most is right above the barcode there, the little canary, which is awesome. But yeah, city on fire in the back with the dragon. Super cool. Super cool. But let's go ahead and get into this and see if it is as good or better or worse than the Draconomicon originally. So first things first, we get into the description of the first world. Now this is Wizards of the Coast way of trying to explain why dragons are important to their cosmology and change it up a little bit. There is history of specific dragons on multiple planes and specific locations and whatnot. And basically what they're trying to explain is that the first world, which was created by Bahamut and Tiamat, basically blew up. Their first creation was a gemstone dragon, and it died in the process, and basically its energy going out created a bunch of the other dragons and the other planes of reality and things of that nature. Oh, it definitely gives Dragonborn a boost, which is great, and we'll get into that. Some of it is way better than others, but we'll definitely take a look at that. I like the concept of the first world stuff. It kind of explains a little bit better why dragons hoard treasure. Pardon me. Why they hoard treasure and why they do what they do and why there are multiple versions of the same named dragon on multiple planes. It really gets into this idea of dragon sight, where a dragon, whenever it gets powerful enough, can notice other versions of itself on other realities. That's why, like, a Chardalon and other named dragons are so powerful. So I think it's super cool. Definitely very, very different from the Draconomicon, but we will go from there. The next section, which is so the information on the first world is only pages 4 through 7. So not really a lot to go of. They leave everything up to the DM, which good, bad. I think it's kind of a negative. I would have liked much more information on there. I like the Draconomicon better, but we'll go through that book in a little bit. Next is character creation stuff. So this gets into the Dragonborn stuff, the 2 subclasses, and Draconic Feats. So let's go ahead and turn there. Also, as a side note, they have all these little notes inside of the book from Fizban. At least they're supposed to be from Fizban. I don't like the tone of them. I don't think it fits really the Fizban from Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman's days. But that might just be my own personal thought on that. So feel free to jump in the comments whenever you get a chance to read some of these and see if you agree or disagree. Super cool. The the new Dragonborn versions have the +2 and +1 to ability scores, or +1 to 3 different ability scores. And then they have the language types and whatnot. Let's see. They're still considered humanoid, which is kind of off-putting given the chance of what's going to occur with the some of the other new books putting out oozes and things like that. I would have preferred them be considered draconic, but it is what it is. All of them are medium and have walking speed of 30 feet. The chromatic has its chromatic ancestry, which gives it its breath weapon. Its damage increases by levels, which is much better than the previous version, and you can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and it resets on a long rest. So that's infinitely better, topping out at 4d10, and you can replace it with one of your attacks. So if you have multiple attacks in an attack action, you can do that, which is way better. You have resistance to your chromatic ancestry, and for the chromatics, you can, at 5th level, choose to become immune to that damage type for 1 minute. So, pretty baller. Gem Dragonborn, which I really, really dig. Yet again, humanoid, medium, 30 feet. You choose your gem ancestry. You get your breath weapon. It's a 15-foot cone. Still caps out at the 4d10. Still works the same way. You gain resistance to your type. You get psionic mind, so you can telepathically message any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share a language for them to understand the message, but it must be able to understand at least one language to comprehend it. So super powerful there. And you get flight at 5th level. It lasts for a minute. You gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. But you get that back every long rest. Some DMs are very unhappy with flight. I don't have a problem with it. There's more things you can do to counteract flying. So, but the damage types are cool because they have Force, Radiant, Psychic, Thunder, and Necrotic for the 5 different types, which is super cool. Then we have the Metallic, which is probably the least interesting of them. Same breath weapon, resistance to your damage type. You get an additional breath weapon that either does enervation, which succeed on a Constitution saving throw or be incapacitated until the start of your next turn, or succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed back 20 feet and knocked prone. And you can only use that once per long rest. Definitely not as powerful as the other two, for sure. But still, it's a lot better than previous. After that, they go into the 2 subclass options. Way of the Ascendant Dragon for Monk, kind of playing on the thought that Bahamut in the Forgotten Realms wanders around as a monk of some renown, and he's in charge of an order of monks. Kind of cool. And then the Drake Warden Ranger. Pardon me. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not too pleased with this one. It's cool that you can have a Drake companion. I would have liked to see a druid, but that is partially because in the Draconomicon you could wild shape and become a dragon. And I don't know, this just seems like meh. Hey, you have a pet. They're trying to make it compare to the other pets, and it's still, while it's better than the other pets, it's still not great. After that, they get into the Draconic Feats. So you can either be gifted by the Chromatic, the Gem, or the Metallic Dragons. Of those, I really, really like the Metallic one because you gain Cure Wounds as a spell to add to your spell list. You get to cast it once for free. So, hey, wizard or sorcerer, you want healing as a class spell? Go ahead, knock yourself out. You can have it right there. Also, you get the Protective Wings. You can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you grant a bonus to the target's AC equal to your proficiency bonus against an attack roll, possibly causing it to miss. And it works like it uses your reaction, but still, I mean, it's pretty cool. The Gem Dragons have a bonus to your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, and telekinetic reprisal. When you take damage from a creature within 10 feet, you can use your reaction to emanate telekinetic energy, dealing 2d8 force damage. Larry says that Drake Warden is basically a weaker Beastmaster until higher level when the Drake is finally back. Yeah, I'm not too enthused with it. I would have really liked an alternate form where you could be a druid and you could wild shape into draconic things. I think that would have been way cooler. Sorry about that. I needed something for my throat. And then the Chromatic Dragon, you make one weapon swing for a d4 additional damage of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Meh. And you gain resistance to one of the types for a little bit as a reaction. Meh. So overall, I think the player stuff, these things for the Dragonborn are really cool. The class additions are not that great. And some of the feats are okay, some of the feats are not. Larry says it's got flavor, but you can flavor anything as long as the DM is cool. Absolutely. I agree 110%. So then the next section in the book is Dragon Magic. So it goes through spells, magic items, horde magic items, things like that. All the magic all the spells are pretty cool. Bring some more elemental damage to the table, which is nice. Psychic Lance is pretty dope. Fizban's Platinum Shield is okay. It does a lot. And it does not consume its components, so I'm okay with that. I think the best one, personally, is a Chardalon Stride, because you increase your movement speed by 20 feet, and you light things on fire as you go. So that's pretty dope. Draconic Spirit is a pretty cool spell. It's kind of like the Druid Wild Shape thing. It's more like polymorph, but it's neat. And then magic items, we get into some pretty cool stuff like dragon lances and dragon wing bows and emerald pens and crystal swords. All of which pretty cool. I really like the addition of them. Giant canary, the platinum scarf, potion of dragon's majesty, and then the horde items, basically how you increase or decrease their power by placing items in a dragon's horde to get special powers. I'm kind of hit or miss on this. The likelihood of you keeping an item in dragon's horde for a long time, not so great. Unless it is a friend dragon, which you can do, but downtime is hard to manage. Some games, players feel like they're constantly being pushed, and so they don't take downtime when they definitely can. So, something to keep in mind. The draconic gifts are pretty nice. Giving like a draconic familiar, or bringing somebody back to life but as a dragonborn, giving them draconic sight, frightful presence. I'm not a fan of frightful presence personally. Chapter 3 is dragons in play. So this is a bunch of charts that you can roll on or just choose from if you cannot come up with a concept of how a dragon should be run. I like the thought process. It gives ways to customize your dragon by adding spells or traits or actions and change shape and whatnot. Some of which is super cool. But it's not very detailed. It's very run-of-the-mill. And as you'll see in the Draconomicon, they're very, very detailed in 3.5 books. A lot more so than 5th edition books. Lifespan, they go through the different types, wormlings, adults, ancients. Goes over sidebar on territories. And then going through the origins of dragon eggs. People in my game know that I have a very specific way that dragons work. It kind of works pretty well with the whole thought process of the first world. Because magical energy is generated through the creation of dragons on a plane. And whenever a dragon goes to a new plane, it brings with it magic and energy and whatnot. So, dragon eggs, half dragons, death of dragons, stuff like this. Just a lot of charts. And if you don't use charts, then it's not really super useful. I do like they go into regions that are affected by a dragon's death and whatnot. So some of that is pretty cool. Then it gets into undeath, so Draco Liches, things of that nature. So yeah, here is, if I can get a good picture of it. That is the picture of Bahamut whenever he's in monk form with all the canaries around. Super cool. It's a great piece of art. I like the thought process. I don't know why a monk would wear shoulder armor like that, but okay. Then it gets into shape-shifting, and here's a part that really irks me. There's a sidebar on page 44 that talks about how song dragons and steel dragons don't exist. They're just a figment of your imagination, and they were actually like bronze or copper or silver or other metallic dragons who favored their humanoid form. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Especially with the whole thought process of there being this epic poem about the first world. They really had... Fair. They really had a chance to make Song Dragon super, super cool. and integral to the whole thought process that, you know, very much like the Silmarillion. Yeah. Very much like in the Silmarillion, how the elves sing the world into existence. They could have had the song dragons be integral to carrying on the story of this first world or something of that nature. But instead they were just like, nah, those dragons don't exist because we can't come up with a cool reason for why they exist. I was very displeased with their decision to do that. Because I always thought some of the alternate dragons were very, very cool and made a lot of sense. Dragon organizations, they go into the Cult of the Dragon, which... Why did my whole... Okay. OBS just jumped completely and I was confused. So, I apologize. The Cult of the Dragon is okay. It was used for a bunch of the very, very early Tyranny of Dragons adventure arcs. So, yeah. Larry says, you are a figment of my imagination, so I guess your tale wasn't real after all. Ooh. Harsh. Nope. Song dragons still exist in my game world because Wizards can't tell me they don't. Also, they put out a new Draconomicon on the DM's Guild. I don't know who produced it, but I'm going to definitely check that out. Okay, there's also... there's a couple different groups here that they go into. Hide Carved Dragons, the Chamber... things of that nature, and then going into followers and whatnot. I do like this. They are talking about how dragons organize things a lot more so than the Draconomicon, talking about how they basically convince kobolds they can be gods. Some act like nobles for groups, parental figures, crime bosses, emperors. So it gives a lot of relationships and adventuring advice and things like that. And then talking about minions and encounters. So honestly, they do have a very good setup here on how to play dragons. There's this really, really cool art piece there of a black dragon where it looks like either it's wearing the skull of some other dragon or its scales have just worn down. Real cool. Super, super cool. Goes into a little bit about dragon campaigns, talking about Kryn and the Council of Worms and Tarkir from Magic the Gathering. You can use dragons as all kinds of plot devices. Anything crazy so far? I don't think there's anything necessarily crazy. I haven't got to the monster section towards the end. So far, I've gone through all the player stuff, which for the most part is a great boost for the Dragonborn. And some of the magic items are really, really cool. But I just got through... I'm going through the section of dragons in play. And they're doing a fairly good job of giving information that people don't necessarily have. But nowhere near as detailed as the Draconomicon from 3.5. So they talk about the orbs of dragonkind, things of that nature. Different factions, different dragon gods. I really wish they would have got more detail on the dragon gods like they do in the Draconomicon, because they broke it down into, I believe, like 6 or 8 different deities. We'll take a look at that in a couple. But they do a good job of getting into some of the different entities and whatnot, talking about Tiamat in different ways, talking about Bahamut in different ways. Yeah. So far it's pretty good. I'm gonna say that it's not nearly as detailed as the 3.5 Draconomicon, but it's pretty good. Has lots of charts if you're looking for charts. Yet again, Fizban does not sound as eccentric as he does in the Dragonlance books, and part of that might be to throw people off, but I kind of like that joking nature, and some of the lines in here just are a little too on the nose. Next, talking about lair locations and whatnot. Yet again, charts, talking about terrain and how terrain changes whenever a dragon's present. If your dragons have more of a magical bent, so they have spells or things of that nature, feel free to change the terrain. Lots of things you can do with ice and snow, elevation, lava, fire, things of that nature. And they make a real big deal out of saying that dragons in 5th edition are more tied to the primordial energies than in previous campaigns. Previously, dragons all had innate spell casting and they were tied to magic very, very heavily. This is very much they're part of the creatures that created the worlds, and they used or were part of this elemental kind of feel. I don't necessarily agree 100% with that, but given the fact that 5th edition dragons are much less of a challenge, at least base-wise, to 3.5, it makes a big deal. But it goes into a lot of things. Planar connections, changes to creatures, draconic magic, cosmetic alterations, and lair actions. If you're going to use a dragon, please use lair actions. They're very necessary for the action economy of the game. I also suggest giving dragons either 2 turns in combat, or having enough minions around that it makes sense. There should be some reason why dragons are scary. And with just the breath weapon and the normal attacks they have, they're not nearly as potent as you would hope. Same with demons and devils in 5th edition. I don't know why. They're just not nearly as scary. Okay, dragon hordes. It gets into what dragon hordes, how much coin you should have in each dragon horde. Adult dragons should have about 15,000 gold pieces or more. Younger dragons are going to be less than that, with likely hundreds of coins rather than thousands. And then they keep their coin a little more hidden until they get to adult sized. But you can have linking items, and I really like this. They have a linking items list for different hordes, so maybe they find a broken piece of an artifact, such as the Rod of 7 Parts. For an adult, yeah. I mean, for ancient, it should be 200,000 gold pieces, apparently. But it can exceed millions of gold pieces. But it should have art and things of that nature. Stuff that isn't easy to carry away. Dragon's power is linked to its treasure. Well, I really don't see it that way. It doesn't make any sense why. Because they don't age because of how much treasure they have. Let's see if it says anything in regards to that. It says that their magical energy is amplified by the possession of material things. Dragon's power is related to both age and size of their hordes in ways that clever dragons can exploit. But it doesn't get into the logic of that. It doesn't say if your dragon has X amount of gold that give them these powers or anything like that. So I'm not really a fan of that thought process. As a rule of thumb, if a dragon's lair no longer holds at least 10,000 gold worth of treasure, The site is not considered a lair. Dragon can't use lair actions there. So it's a suggested efficient strategy to basically steal from the dragon to plunder the resources out. Okay, I could see that. That's kind of a cool thought process. So different quirks, regional effects, altering water, weather, animals. Having haunted hordes, that's a cool idea. Having curses on them. Oh man, now this art is super cool of this green dragon. I don't know if I can get it in a good light. Yeah, look at that. Super cool. With its poison going everywhere and whatnot. Very cool. So they have lists on coins and gems and art objects and things of that nature. Magic items. And the best part is, here, we have charts. Down. There we go. We have a whole bunch of charts that says how much gold you should have in a horde. In copper pieces and silver pieces and gold pieces and platinum and mundane items and gems and magic items. And cool mundane items. See, now these are charts that I would use. Super cool. Now, Chapter 5 is called the Draconomicon, which is... I don't necessarily agree with, but let's see. Using the entries. Okay, so these are specific... Yes, charts. So many charts. No, there's a ton of charts, and I'm not normally one for lots of charts, but whenever you're trying to build out a dragon's horde, those are actually fairly useful. So basically, what the Draconomicon version is hey, let's take the Amethyst Dragon and let's give it hundreds of charts on how it acts and why it acts the way it does and things of that nature. And yeah, apparently people can't come up with this stuff themselves. Some of it is okay, and it's great for new DMs and whatnot, but I don't think it's super necessary. Then it has a map of a typical Amethyst Dragon lair, which I'm not going to show, just in case I need to use it. But things like glowing crystals and chimneys and whatnot. And so basically it goes through and does this for every dragon type. In alphabetical order. Or really busy DM. That's fair. That's fair. If you just want to pull something out for a random game or something, I could see that. It's totally legitimate. So yeah, and they have all of the different dragon types currently in here broken down. Oh, they actually included one for the deep dragons, which I'm okay with. That's cool. I am not a fan of the deep dragon art. Dragon turtles, they have a list for that too. Oh, cool. They actually have a chart for the suggested spellcasting for the appropriate dragons. So I really like that. That's super cool. Talking about dragon turtle lairs. Treasure they normally go after. And each of these sections has a particular rare dragon that they name and give a little blurb about. Fairy Dragons has its own section. That should have a lot of spells in it. But it doesn't list any, so it is what it is. Gold Dragons. Gold Dragons are okay. So feel free, those of you folks that are in the chat, what's your favorite dragon? Cyan Bloodbane is listed here for the green dragons because it was on Kryn. Moonstone dragons have their own set, and they're the Fey dragons, which they don't have any art for, which is kind of sad. They might have it in the monster section. Red dragons. Ashardalon, of course. Sapphire dragons, which they had the super cool miniature. Fair enough. Shadow dragons. Visibly burning. Silver dragons. Of course, they have temples. Topaz dragons. Let's see. White. Okay, they put rhyme in for the white. That's cool. Okay. Now we're getting into the super fun stuff. The charts for the Amethyst Dragon. They do have the young, adult, ancient, and wormling of the Amethyst Dragons. The art's pretty cool. I don't like that the gems are like psionically hanging. Let me see if I can. Yeah. Psionically hanging over the dragon's head. They're not actually attached. Not really a fan with that. Cool concept, but animated breath weapons. That was something that was previously in other versions. An aspect of Bahamut. Challenge rating 30. Pretty cool. Aspect of Tiamat. Also ridiculous. I think it is also 30. Challenge rating 30. Yeah. Okay, a chromatic great worm. So great worm is something that they you can add apparently to any dragon, or at least a chromatic dragon. Super cool. Okay. Crystal dragons. Looks too much like the white, and yet again has these hanging off portions that aren't connected to it. I don't like that. I think it makes it difficult for miniatures, of course. Ancient deep dragons. Now, this is what they're picturing as a deep dragon. Okay, so it has that kind of like, I'm very, very pale and have the whites of the eyes type thing going on. It does look super creepy. I don't necessarily like the comparison. Here, let me pull up the deep dragon from the Draconomicon so you can see what I'm comparing it to. Never mind. I think it's in Faerun. See, this is a deep dragon. as it originally was in the Faerun books. I think that is a lot sleeker and a lot cooler, personally. It looks more like a traditional dragon. I understand that they're probably going for a different style, and that is more akin to what you would see in like real world in the depths of the oceans and things like that. But I don't know, I'm not a fan. A Draco Hydra. I once spent months trying to teach a Draco Hydra to perform a 16-bar 5-part harmony. The singing didn't take, but the image of all its heads wearing the little hats and mustaches I gave them still tickles me to this day. Okay, that's a pretty cool Fizban quote. I dig that. Draconians. I am so glad that we now have Draconian sets. Okay. Each of the Draconians has its death throws, which is good. Awesome. They don't look the same as you would imagine them from the previous versions, but they do look good. I think they they look a lot more deadly and scary than the previous versions did. And Draconians, I always imagine, were kind of, more organized military force. These guys definitely still could be. Challenge ratings. 1/2, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So that's appropriate. I really like them. They're looking good. Draconic Shard. That's a crystalline undead. Dragon Blood Ooze. That's super cool. Yes. Creepy monsters are creepy. Darkest Timeline. Go. So the Dragon Blood Ooze is amorphous. Can spider climb. Has its pseudopod. Oh, okay. This is about the same as the Black Pudding. So it does 1d10 plus 4 bludgeoning damage plus 4d6 acid damage. If the target is large or smaller, it is grappled. Until this grapple ends, the target takes 2d6 acid damage until the start of its at the start of each of its turns. Plus it has creepy slime breath. That's gross. I like it. Dragonbone Golem. Okay. Makes sense. Oh, cool. Okay. So they have the 3 Dragonborn that are tied distinctly to Saryador and Bahamut and Tiamat. Those are really cool. They all have higher challenge ratings than their normal counterparts because they are champions. Dragon Flesh Grafters. That's super cool. And then Dragon Followers. Oh, cool. Okay. So these are people that are chosen by dragons. Dragon Speaker, Dragon Chosen, Dragon Blessed. Cool. Dragonelles. I actually really like this Dragonelle art. Let's see if... It's a little dark, I know. but I think they look a lot cooler than the 3.5 version. Paladin can find greater steed to possibly ride one. Those are cool. Ancient dragon turtle. That thing's a beast. Yeah. Awesome. Egg hunter adept. Emerald dragons. The elder brain dragon is gross. I do like how they have the tadpole breath weapon. It is super gross. Super, super powerful. And not something that you would want to be up against. Sorry, I possibly have a work thing. Nope. Maybe? No, all good. Ancient Emerald Dragon. Young Emerald Dragon. Okay. All their parts seem to be attached for the most part. An Eye Drake. A Gem Great Worm. Super cool. Super cool. More great art right there. Okay, they have Gem Stalkers, Ghost Dragons. I don't know anybody that uses Ghost Dragons. The Horde Mimic, which we've heard about. The Horde Scarabs. A Lion Drake. Hollow Dragon. Is an undead. Okay. Unlike dragons who explore the magic of undeath for power, some metallic dragons see undeath as a means to pursue a noble purpose, for the sake of protecting an artifact or fulfilling an oath. Dragon might transform into a hollow dragon, accepting undeath until that purpose is fulfilled. Okay. Metallic Great Worm. Metallic Sentinels. Those are cool. Ancient Moonstone Dragon. And they're the creepy moss-covered fey-like dragons. Sapphire Dragon. We already have many of those. Ancient Sea Serpent. Cool, cool. Topaz Dragons. And then at the very end, a creature list that goes through everything. So that's the book. So far, I like it. It's pretty cool. However, in detail, we have the Draconomicon here from 3.5, which we have pages 5 to 55 that goes over all about a dragon's physiology. So if you totally want to nerd out and know the parts of a dragon eye, the musculature and the skeletal breakdown of a dragon, it goes through it piece by piece, goes through its diet, goes through the life cycle. And I think that's the real thing. Like, if you want to nerd out and learn about dragons on the base, like, thought process of it, I think the Draconomicon from 3.5 is much more in depth. So all the different draconic gods. Now I know that they're trying to, say some of this stuff just doesn't exist anymore, but it's kind of ridiculous. The amount of detail that went into this book, and sadly it's made by some of the same people. Here you can see Andy Collins, Skip Williams, and James Wyatt. And I think James Wyatt was the main person that worked on this book as well. Let me see. Lead designer, James Wyatt. Yeah. And it just kind of makes me sad that they went into such detail with this book that they couldn't do so with the other. Now, where the 3.5 book kind of falls apart is it got in it very much like any of the 3.5 content. You have pages 66 is Dragon Feats. So you go page 66 through page 100, and that's all prestige classes, dragon spells, dragon feats, some dragon magic items. But then you get into page 101 through 141 in this book, and that's more prestige classes, but these are for the actual players. Magic items, dragon craft items, dragon hide armor, things of that nature. But there's a lot more monsters in this book too. The Abyssal Drake, Dragonkin, Dragonelle, Elemental Drakes, the Dragon Bone Golem. So they took a lot of the previous things and put it in here. Landworms. There were a lot more landworms in this book. The different planar dragons, but I guess that the new book is kind of saying that all of the dragons are currently planar dragons. Yeah, so all in all, I'm happy with Fizban's. I'm thinking it's definitely not as good as the Draconomicon, but I mean, overall, I think 5th edition overall, I enjoy running because you don't have the min-max factor. But if I was going to play a game, I'd want to play 3 or 3.5, something like that, where I can make the exact character that I wanted. It's hard to say. Well, how about you folks out there? Any questions you guys have on the book itself? Anything you would like me to go over in more detail? Anything that kind of stuck out at you that you'd want to hear more about? For those of you in my game, I did already pre-order this for D&D Beyond, so whenever it goes up tomorrow, you guys will all have access to it, so you can check out whatever you want. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the book. I think it has some cool stuff. I'm hoping that we will get some changes, but we shall see. Other than that, I listened to the first episode of Critical Role Campaign 3. I like the characters. I think they're doing an interesting bit with it. The things that really stick out to me is, one, they're not sponsored by D&D Beyond this time. And that kind of has me concerned because they were talking about at the last live stream that they did for Wizards, they were talking about 2024 going into the new either half edition or the new edition that is backwards compatible. And I think my real big concern is that they're either going to buy D&D Beyond or let it fail and not renew the license for it, and then try to make their own online kind of set of tools. But that hasn't been something that they've done well at. The original 3rd edition Player's Handbook came with a set of online not even online tools, digital tools for making your character sheets, and they never did anything with it after that. It was super useful. It was great, but they didn't do anything with it. 4th edition, I don't know. And then 5th edition, they were talking about D&D Beyond, but it didn't show up until like, what, a year or two after 5th edition started. And even then, it was like pulling teeth to get people involved in it. And once we got into it, it was a pretty quick transition for our group. It was a lot better to actually use it. But I'm just hoping those purchases aren't going to go down the tube here soon. But we'll see. We'll get a couple more good years out of it, at the very least. But yeah, other than that, the book's pretty cool. I'm definitely digging it. Let's see what else we can do. I'm not sure if I'm going to jump into another. I was busy getting dishes loaded in the dish. No worries, man. Anything in particular you wanted to know from the book before I move on to either playing something else or working on something else or heading out? I'm not 100% sure. I'm feeling better, but the house is very, very warm because we have the heaters on to combat it getting cold. And with all these bright lights, it gets very, very warm in here very, very fast. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. I might play some more Dread, or I might head out. Thing that stuck up the most was the tadpole breath weapon. Yeah, basically all it is, they take an elder brain and they attach it to a dragon, and it basically takes over the dragon's mind and whatnot, and it rides around on the dragon's back. Sounds very similar to something that has been suggested in my game, so take that for what you will. Not necessarily as a dragon, but you know what I mean. Overall, like I said, the ideas are pretty cool. I like that some of the charts have the different magic that they're suggesting. I am worried that one of the new things that they're talking about, talking about doing is making the new monster manual a little bit easier for DMs to run. But that means less spells on the spell lists and more special abilities that are just, I'm going to word it very 4th edition, so they can do something cool. But how that'll be affected by counterspell and whatnot, I'm not sure. You don't want to dig too much into the new stuff unless I have to run a game. That's fair. Totally fair. Yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the Fizban stuff. I think it looks good. I think the player options are good. Yet again, I would have liked a druid wild shape version, but it is what it is. The dragon horde items, I don't think are that great. They can do some cool stuff, but taking the downtime to leave your item in dragon's horde to get powers, I don't know. That means that you're not using the stuff actively. So is it cool? Is it not? I don't know. For as little downtime as you guys choose to take, doesn't seem super useful to me. Other than that, most of the Kickstarter stuff is slow and excruciating as per usual. But yeah, we are hopefully getting our miniatures soon. Almost all the boxes are here in the US, so we'll see if we get them yet. I did take part in the, what was it? There's an herbalist guide, but I'm probably using that more for the LARP content rather than anything else, just so people have thought processes on what they can have their resources representing and whatnot. But overall, pretty good. I got the new map for the other continent started. I posted that on Facebook, so super cool about that. Other than that, yeah, just trying to get through the work days as best I can. Yeah, anybody have any questions, anything like that? Otherwise, I am probably going to head out for the night. It is very warm in here, and I had a long day already today. Luckily, I don't have a delivery this weekend or next weekend, so that is kind of cool. I'm hoping to do some more LARP stuff on the next stream or two, but we'll see. Finally got around to painting more of the Ashardalon minis. Nice. Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that the new minis come in soon. Definitely worthwhile set, but they've taken, what, almost 2 years now to get here. And I saw they posted up another Kickstarter, and anytime I saw it go across my Facebook page, I had to boo it. I couldn't not. I'm hoping they're quality, but I'm just kind of mad that they keep putting out Kickstarters even though they haven't even finished one from 2 years ago. That doesn't bode well with me, but it is what it is. Some people are going to give them money. That's fine. Anything else before I head out, y'all? I'm going to probably go to sleep early and try to feel better, because I got a long couple days here, but it is what it is. Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. Yeah, they were trying to do some like sports ball version, fantasy sports ball thing. I don't know. Yeah, no, I I get that whole vibe too. If the minis are quality, then cool. I'm just worried. They've delivered on some of their previous things. So I believe we're going to get our stuff. But it is just super frustrating. And I understand the way shipping is going right now. Everything is super, super difficult. Yeah. Okay, folks, I am going to go ahead and head out. It's been about an hour, which is fine. I just want to slowly ease my way back into doing these streams again. Last week I just wasn't feeling up to it, and yeah, hopefully I will keep my motivation up and be doing more of this. I'll catch you later. Thanks, folks. I will be back hopefully streaming on Wednesday 9 until whenever I decide to be done. And then Friday will probably be about the same. So thank you very much, folks. Have a great night.